Hi everyone, welcome back to the World Journal with Sameer Arshad Khatlani. Today we are unpacking a powerful Time magazine piece titled The Tragedy of Eric Adams by Molly Ball, and we're also exploring how Adams' story intersects with one of the most dramatic political shifts New York has ever seen in decades, the meteoric rise of Zohran Mamdani, the young Democratic Socialist, whose charisma and boom driven politics ultimately reshaped the city's direction. Adams' rise and fall makes sense only when you also look at how Mamdani captured something much harder to measure: the imagination of New Yorkers. Molly Ball's story opens with Eric Adams in his kitchen at Gracie Mansion making his morning smoothie: blueberries, ginger, flaxseed, a greenish brown sludge. He tells her, "Our stomach is not a washing machine, it is a sink." Ball reads this as a metaphor. Adams is searching for discipline, order, control, the sense that life and leadership follow a predictable sequence. What makes this fascinating is that at the same moment Adams chases order, someone else in New York politics is doing the opposite. Zohran Mamdani is harnessing energy, emotion, and imagination. One is the politics of discipline, the other of politics of possibility. This contrast sets the stage for everything that follows. Eric Adams, the biography that once lit up New York City. Adams' life story is compelling. He grew up in Brooklyn and Queens, was arrested as a teenager, then joined the New York Police Department and became a prominent critic of racism with the force from there. State senator, Brooklyn borough president, and finally mayor of New York City. When he won, many believed he represented a new kind of Democrat, a tough on crime reformer who understood the struggles of working class black New Yorkers. He called himself the Biden of Brooklyn. Even at the height of Adams' popularity, young progressives were already gravitating toward a different kind of leader, one who spoke a new political language. That leader was Zohran Mamdani. Mamdani's parallel writes, while Adams built a coalition through traditional borough politics, Mamdani was doing something far more contemporary, building a movement. Tenants, immigrants, gig workers, Palestine solidarity organizers, climate activists, young voters priced out of their city. He wasn't just talking about policy, he was narrating a generational crisis, and he did it with rare emotional intelligence. If Adams embodied the anxieties of the 1990s, crime, order, stability, Mamdani embodied the crises and hopes of the 2020s. By the time Adams' administration began struggling politically, Mamdani had already become the face of a new moral coalition in New York. Adams' achievements and why they weren't enough. To be sure, Adams delivered measurable gains: shootings down, murders down, new zoning reforms projected to create 80,000 homes, the trash revolution to clean city sidewalks. But achievements alone couldn't compete with the cultural wave Mamdani was riding. A young generation didn't want managed decline. They wanted transformation. They wanted a city that didn't just function, but felt fair, humane, and vibrant. And Mamdani, with his calm intensity, poetic language, and community-based politics, offered that. This is where Adams' tragedy begins to sharpen. The scandal and the collapse. The federal indictment alleging Adams accepted gifts from Turkey and illicit contribution accelerated his political isolation. Adams' response was defensive. No gold bars, no bags of cash. They had to concoct this, he said. But when the case was dismissed by Trump's Justice Department, it raised more questions. Adams felt persecuted. His critics felt vindicated. his allies began to distance themselves. Meanwhile, Mamdani's crowds were getting bigger, his language was becoming the city's language. The contrast couldn't have been more dramatic. When election night arrived and Adams lost, and Zohran Mamdani emerged as New York's new political star, it didn't feel like a typical changing of the guard. It felt like the city was choosing a new story about itself. Adams represented the New York of the past, a city shaped by crime waves, austerity, and transactional politics. Mamdani represented the New York of the future, a city shaped by student debt, climate anxiety, the housing crisis, racial justice movements, and the moral urgency around Palestine and Gaza. This wasn't simply Adams losing power, it was a generational handover, a shift from authority to imagination, from biography to movement. So, what is the real tragedy of Eric Adams? Molly Ball suggests something Shakespearean, a man of ambition and conviction undone by the very forces he tried to master. But seen alongside Mamdani's rise, the tragedy becomes even clearer. Adams was a symbol of what New York was. Mamdani became the symbol of New York, what New York wanted to be. Adams asked for discipline, Mamdani offered hope. Adams tried to hold the city together. Mamdani inspired it to dream again. Eric's story is not only personal, it is the story of a city in transition, a city choosing new heroes, new narratives, new priorities. Thank you for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, does Adams' tragedy reflect his personal failures or a deeper shift in New York's political soul?